David Ross.
Hi, David.
I'm unrepentant old new left. I've been doing this vet stuff for like 43 years, and things have only gotten worse.
My name is John Spitzberg with the Veterans for Peace Chapter 099.
I'm Adrienne Kinney. I'm on the Veterans for Peace National Board of Directors and the president of the Vermont chapter, and I live in Randolph.
I'm Bud. I'm a member of the chapter for a long time.
I'm a member of Veterans for Peace, and I've been working with Veterans for Peace for quite a while, resisting war, resisting the American Empire. And sometime before Occupy started, a group of us got together to plan an occupation in Washington, D.C. 10th anniversary, I believe it was, of the Afghan War. And we wanted to connect the dots. We wanted to connect the economic problems that Americans were having with the military spending, the huge military budget, with the wars. We saw everything as connected, the environmental destruction that was going on, and we wanted to have an occupation in Freedom Plaza that would effectively connect all of these things.
Have veterans, U.S. military veterans who, by the nature of being veterans, garner some more respect, for better or worse, from the general public, standing with really deep nonviolence training, so that they are not calling the police names. They're just deeply standing nonviolence with the love of their enemy in their hearts.
Well, we're standing our ground,
but standing firmly, and to see the forces of state violence attacking those people, I think serves to, and to document it, I think it serves to expose the violence of the state to people who have either been unaware of it or have been unwilling to really believe that the police do go around as armed agents of the state suppressing nonviolent protests. So when you see a situation like that, it's kind of hard to deny.
I'm Joe Wakefield. I live here in Asheville. I went in the Navy at 17. I was appalled. I was carrying nice young people up across Africa, Sicily, up the boot, and bringing the dead and wounded back. I was utterly sickened by it. I am totally opposed to war.
So we dropped this giant banner, Mr. Obama, end these fucking wars. War is the real obscenity. And the pictures of that banner went around the world. In the next week, if you Googled that, you would get millions of hits. It just went everywhere.
We climbed up to the top of the National Archives when Bush was president, and we dropped two huge banners. One said, "Defend our Constitution, arrest Bush and Cheney, war criminals." And the other one said, "We will not be silent." And we were up there for 2 days. On the second day, the Homeland Security climbed up. They had to climb up to get us down. And by the time they finished talking with us, there was a team of 5 of them. 4 climbed up, 1 stayed down. By the time they finished talking to us, they kind of liked us. We explained, look, we're veterans. We took an oath, just like you guys, to protect the Constitution against enemies from within and without. And that's what we're doing. That's exactly what we're doing. And, they dug it. They said,
I'd say there's a connection between the mining and my time in Vietnam. I currently farm some ground that was mine. It was only 1% of the ground that was mine was leveled. And at the time it was mine, it was the same time that I was in Vietnam. When my humanity was being destroyed in Vietnam, the ability of this land to produce food was also being destroyed.
Okay, my name is Richard Clement. I live in Pittston, and I'm the current president of Chapter 1 of Veterans for Peace here in Maine.
I'm Diane Messer. I reside in the town of Liberty, about 30 miles or so east of here towards Belfast. An occupier, climate activist, veteran for peace. I served 22 years in the Army, and kind of like a fish swimming against the current. I was always involved in peace efforts, and even as an ROTC cadet, had rotten eggs and tomatoes thrown at me by other students and called a warmonger and a baby killer. That was a real experience. But I believed in trying to change things from the inside, so I served and spoke about the most powerful tool that we can be as deterrents. Never pick up a weapon or drop a bomb, just have them sitting in the vault, but that's not the way
I'm Dud Hendrick. I'm with Veterans for Peace here in Maine. There are a couple of chapters in Maine. Our chapter, the Tom Sturdivant chapter, was the founding chapter of Veterans for Peace in the States. So I've been very active with Veterans for Peace for about 15 to 20 years, and when Occupy came about, I was among those from Maine. There were about, I guess maybe 10 of us in total, maybe a little shy of that went down to DC for the presence at Freedom Plaza.
Yeah, I was involved in Veterans for Peace in the mid-'80s, I guess mid to late 80s, around Central America issues. The aid to the Contras was a huge issue in Nicaragua at the time. And I think some members of Veterans for Peace were involved in the fast on the steps of Charlie Lutke and Brian Wilson. So that was a big issue in the movement at that time, to stop aid to the Contras. December 16th of 2010, over 100 people, I think 130 or so people, were arrested in front of the White House protesting the wars, demanding an immediate end to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that was in the snow. We were out there, and Chris Hedges was arrested, Daniel Ellsberg was arrested. And then there was another action in March 19th, same place, a whole bunch more people were arrested. And then the group that had been involved in that started planning the occupation at Freedom Plaza.
You are.
Oh, I'm Ken Mayers, Veterans for Peace, Santa Fe. I was commissioned in 1958. I resigned, I commissioned at the end of 1966 and went back to the University of California to try to figure out how we got so screwed up. Veterans for Peace got started in Maine in 1985, and I joined in 1986. I was the first Vermonter to join Veterans for Peace. So it's been a while.
My name is Ward Riley. We're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I became an activist, a hardcore activist, as a part of the active duty GI resistance to the Vietnam War. I was stationed in Germany, where the resistance was worldwide by 1971 when I joined. I got 2 special court-martials, one for desertion, was sentenced to hard labor in prison. In 1988, I joined Veterans for Peace because they had something called the Iraqi Water Project. It was a reparations program where we were sending teams of veterans into Iraq, Vietnam, and Korea to build water wells and water treatment centers, just things like that. Just basically a forgiveness kind of a thing, to actually help those countries with things they could use, as opposed to helping them by bombing them into democracy.
I was asked to do an extra duty of going to these target areas to assess the success or failure of pilots bombing. And it was there in 1 week in April of 1969 where I went to 5 villages. I went to 5 target areas that were all villages, and everybody in the village was either killed or almost killed immediately, because they were small villages. None of these villages were defended. They were farming and fishing villages in the Mekong Delta. And so when I went to these target areas, all I saw were dead people, or people that were in the last stages of living, moaning. I could still hear the moaning of the suffering. And there was one moment in the very first village where, when I was, the first village, of course, I was totally shocked that this was a village. And it was within an hour after the bombing. And so everything was very fresh. This lingering smell of napalm droplets, the smell of chemical residues of the bombs, the smell of burning flesh. I had never, of course, experienced anything like it, and I was in shock. And I was throwing up, and I didn't know what I was doing, quite frankly. I was kind of walking from my Jeep with the lieutenant, the Vietnamese lieutenant who guided me there. Really not knowing what I was doing. I was supposed to assess the bombing, and so basically what I started doing was kind of getting a sense of how many bodies there were on the ground. And I couldn't walk any further when I encountered this what looked like a young woman with 3 children. They were pretty disfigured by this time, but she was lying on her back with her eyes open, and I couldn't walk any further because there was no place to put my feet. There were so many bodies in that section, and I bent over to look in her eyes. I don't know, somehow I was just psychically, I was in shock, and there was some draw to looking at her eyes, and I didn't have any first aid training or EMT training, so I don't know what I was doing. But as I was standing, as I was starting to straighten up, and I was crying, the Vietnamese lieutenant asked me what my problem was. And I don't remember precisely what I said, but it was something like, I'm looking at my family, and this is like my sister and my children. And I really was sobbing. And he laughed. I remember he laughed, and I knew that something had just happened to me that was irreversible.
I still feel the blows to the chest that a mother gave me when I told her that her only son had been killed in Vietnam.
Hey, brother.
Everybody was against Afghanistan, this and that, and they've always said we're against all war. Yeah. Right? What did they just go realize that peace would be a hell of a lot more prosperous than the war?
And when did you serve?
68 to 72.
Vietnam?
Yeah, I need say no more.
My name's Kenneth Ash. I'm a veteran of the U.S. war in Vietnam. I was there from 69 through 70 and in 71. I was, deeply emotionally scarred coming back from Vietnam, and I had a deep hatred of guns and violence, and war is something that our nation seems to want to engage in much too easily without real thought to what they're really getting into. Then I heard George Bush on the TV standing there talking about how Saddam Hussein is a bad man and we have to do something about Saddam Hussein. And my bullshit antennas went straight up. It just all was such nonsense, and I could just see that he was ginning up another war under totally false pretenses, and I became active. I decided, no, this is something I have to do something about. So I've been involved with Veterans for Peace since about 2002, 2003, whenever we formed the chapter, till this day.
Okay, my name is Robert Stearns, and I served in World War II, 1943 to 1946.
What
and
theater?
at China-Burma India Theater. Having a strong hostility toward war. Although that war we were attacked, we haven't been attacked since that time by another country, and yet we've waged war on a lot of other countries. I saw something in the paper about it being formed here about 20 years ago. So I joined up when they first was established, and I been with him ever since.
Do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I'll be 88 next month. You have to be about that old to have been in World War II.
You know, we heard the excuses when Obama was elected the first time. We heard, oh well, he's going to be a peace president. He's going to end the wars, and he's going to be transparent. Remember that? He's going to close Guantanamo. Remember that? We know that didn't happen. We know that didn't happen. To raise awareness about Brian and drones. Jules Ork and my brother in Veterans for Peace walked from Baltimore to D.C. to be here today to raise awareness. And this is just one thing that people in Veterans for Peace do.
The idea to do the walk from Baltimore originated on December 15th at a meeting that formed the Drone Coalition. And we thought, rather than on the day of the inauguration, we would bring the issue of drones and the lack of talk about it in a $2 billion election process. So we brought the drone, walked the drone from Baltimore to D.C. and many people saw it.
Why are you killing children? Why are you killing children? Why are you killing children? Why? Please, you have to stop! You have to stop killing children! Stop!
He's a veteran.
My name is Bob Feldman. I'm a native of St. Louis. I moved to the Asheville area in 1976. I'm here objecting pretty much basically to our foreign policy of war. I speak for people who are either dead or half crazy because they've been there.
I think it's terrible how the government of the United States has stolen the democracy from the people, and the wealthy have stolen all the money. And I think you can judge a society by how they treat the poorest of them all.
So, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm here protesting my country's foreign policy that has war as an integral part of it. But I just felt that the Iraq fiasco was so blatantly immoral and illegal that I just had to speak out for once against it. And well, we're basically out of Iraq, but we're still making war all over the globe, really. So we're still here, and I'm still here at it, hoping that I might be able to make some difference to somebody.
God's been a few more than 5 times I've been arrested because I know half of you all, and you all been in jail with me. That's right. We go to jail for justice. We go to jail for people like Bradley Manning that stand up for the truth. We go to jail to challenge the policies of Guantanamo, to challenge the policies of assassin drones, to challenge the policies of holding people in indefinite detention. Because our face is as warmongers, our face is killers across the world. But the bright light is in every one of those countries, and in virtually every country of the world, there's a Bradley Manning support group. Yeah. So what we're doing here in the United States to stand with our fellow citizen is being reflected all over the world. That they want America to be the whistleblowers, the people that tell the truth.
His lawyer tells us that sometimes it feels like it's them against the United States government, against the empire. That's not an easy place to be. He goes home at night, he says almost every night, he looks at the I Am Bradley page, where people have taken pictures of themselves holding an I Am Bradley sign to show solidarity with Bradley. And he realizes that's not him and Bradley against the empire, it's all of us supporting him.
To say, look deep in your heart, look what's best for America. Is it to put in jail a 25-year-old kid, a 25-year-old young man, a 25-year-old prophet, a 25-year-old person who has stood for more honesty and justice in our country than the senior leadership of this whole country?
That's right! Yeah!
He did it in a matter of 3 years. For me, it took being a couple years in a war zone and years and years of seeing a hopeless war before I realized that the right thing to do was essentially what Bradley Manning did.
And I love the wave analogy because you know that in the end the wave shapes the shore. And then you get that tidal wave, and Tim DeChristopher says this so well. He talks about how when you have that big wave, you get to the crest, and when you look to the sides, you see you're not alone. That there are lots of waves
Part of a big ocean.
hitting the shore and shaping the shore. And that's what Occupy did. It let everybody see they were not alone, but the waves continue. And so it's not a linear thing, but it's a back and forth, hitting and hitting and hitting. So I love the wave analogy.
From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession.
How about your son? How about your daughter? Commits always poor who get shuffled off to slaughter. If you're so gone cold, why don't you just go?